Welcome to the GuthrieAmerica Podcast. We sit down with amazing people who do life in our community and who are from here because we believe every story should be told. I'm your host, Tim Coleman. Today I am sitting down with the Timothy Van Coleman, ladies and gentlemen. Extraordinaire when it comes to the saxophone. Has been playing the saxophone since he came out of the womb, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe not that soon, but it feels like it. But before we jump into this conversation with Tim, will you please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at GuthrieAmerica. And also, just leave a review on your favorite podcast outlet, wherever you listen to Apple, Spotify. Leave a review. It would mean the world to us. Tim, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Man, it is so good to have you in town.
Yeah.
How often? When did you leave? Like, how long have you not lived in Guthrie?
Ooh, since 2010. No. Since 97. Since 1997.
1997 when you moved from Oklahoma.
Yes.
But you haven't lived in Guthrie since 1960.
Since 1988.
1988 is when because you graduated when? When did you graduate?
87.
87. And then went to college and then never came back.
Right.
Essentially.
Exactly.
And then at some point you lived in Oklahoma City.
Yes.
Well, before you lived in Oklahoma City, you lived at where?
I lived in Edmond.
Edmond, then moved to Oklahoma City, and then you moved to?
Then I moved to Tonkawa.
Tonkawa?
Yeah.
Right outside of Stillwater.
Yep.
Right? In NCO? What?
NOC.
NOC.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Oklahoma College. And that in Tonkawa is how far from Stillwater? It's just like
30 minutes maybe.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Man, so I'm going to start off with a question. What was it like growing up with 12 sisters and brothers? I mean, you grew up in Guthrie, Coleman family, big family. People, most people will know at some point knew Colemans, and part of that was because there was just so many. What was it like growing up with 12 brothers and sisters?
It was pretty interesting. I mean, you learn how to deal with different personalities, and there's a diplomatic side of you where you learn how to deal with this side of age of people and the other side of age of people. So I had the older ones because I'm the 10th of that 13. So I was kind of like somewhat of middle ground. So I was kind of in the middle there. So I was, pretty schooled on how to deal with the older bunch of the group and then the younger ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was pretty interesting when mom and dad were gone, and one would get into an argument with, an older one would get into an argument with the younger one, and then we knew of mom and dad coming back. So by this time, everybody had gotten on each other's sides, picking sides with, you don't tell him what to do. You don't tell him what to do. Well, so by the time we knew mom and dad was coming back, then there come the peacemaker, and we start negotiating what we're going to tell mom and dad about all the arguments that went on while they were away.
Yeah.
So we came to a peaceful resolve before mom and dad entered the door.
That's good. That's good. But like when you think about having 12 brothers and sisters, and we only start here because it's just a big part of who you are, like being a part of a family size. What was it like? Because all of you had friends. I'm imagining everybody had friends. Well, I know everybody had friends. I'm just thinking about when everybody had friends over at the house. What was that like?
Man, it was like you were starving for a little bit, because bless my mother's heart, she was like the ultimate host. So whenever we had friends over, she would always want to feed the friends first. So we're always looking at is there going to be enough left over for us after all them eat? But man, we saw how God multiplied the food time and time again. Ooh.
Everybody was able to eat.
Everybody was able to eat.
Now, you and I, we just went to my house, and before we got out the car, you had a drink, and you left the drink in the car, and I teased and said, you can bring it in because you don't have all your siblings in the house. Like we don't have that many people in the house. But in a way that's kind of the truth, in a sense of like, you probably had to protect some stuff when you had that many people around, right?
Oh, yes. Most definitely, without a doubt. And if somebody messed with your stuff, then there became an argument, or if not a fight involved.
That's good. And so then also just thinking about like your school experience. Have you ever thought about what it would be like if you didn't have as many brothers and sisters? Because I'm sure because you had so many siblings, you always had somebody at your school that lived in the same house as you. Could you imagine not having that? Like, what would that be like, you think?
I'll probably be a lot heavier because I'll be eating a whole lot more.
See, that was the diet plan right there. The diet plan is to have, if you wanted to have small kids, just have a whole bunch of kids, like where everybody's kind of eating stuff. But I was just thinking, like, what would that be like to go throughout school when you're so used to always having somebody around that you lived with at school? Because was there ever a year when you didn't have somebody there?
No.
Yeah, all of your life you had, whereas some kids, so Zell and Nia, my children, were talking about they were kind of looking forward to going to school together because it is kind of a big deal when you can have a sibling at school or something like that. And, but for you, you had.
It was always a full house.
You didn't know any other way.
No.
Yeah, that's good. Now, you are a musician. You play the saxophone. You've been playing a majority of your life. How did you get into music?
I got into music when I was in 5th grade, going into 6th grade. The high school band directors at the time brought over, I want to say, at least about 10 students from the high school band. So I was in music class. In my 5th grade music class, and you began to take band in 6th grade in Guthrie, from where I grew up. And so all these students were coming in with different instruments. I saw a flute walk in. Person had a flute, person had a clarinet, tuba, trumpet, all these different instruments, and none of them grabbed my attention. Then this one gentleman walked in with the saxophone, man. It's like my eyes locked into it right then and there, and I just watched him walk across the room with that saxophone. I'm like, man, now that's a cool instrument. I wonder what that sounds like. And then the band director had each of them play their instrument, and man, that guy played that saxophone, and I loved it all the more. I'm like, yes, that is the instrument that I want to play. So I often tell people that the first thing that drew my attention to the horn was the shape of it and the look of it. So I was digging the color and the shape. And so once I heard it played all the more, it just connected with me. So I went home and told my dad about it. And he's like, oh, that's great, son. How much does a saxophone cost? I said, they said around $400. $400? I said, yeah, and that's for a used one. A used one. Yeah. So he and I went to the music store later on, and we picked me out a horn. And so the rest is history, man. I started playing that thing, and nobody had to urge me to practice because I would practice at least 4 hours a day, nonstop.
You just loved it.
I loved it.
And what drew you to it initially was just the shape of the
shape
sax.
of it caught my eye.
Now there's different types of saxophones. Which one caught your attention?
The gentleman had a alto saxophone.
Okay. And so there's the alto, there's the soprano.
There's a bunch of them. You have a soprano, you have alto, you have tenor, bari, bass, ultra bass, piccolo sax. There's a bunch of them out there.
Now I'm kind of ignorant to this, but if you can play one, can you play them all? Or
yes, you can basically play them all. The armature will be different, so you have to get used to having your armature different on the mouthpiece to make it work. But they essentially are all the same.
Gotcha. Now, once you started playing the saxophone, now your family you have a musically inclined family. What
Yes.
was that like, and how did you end up being a part of that?
The way I ended up being a part of that was after playing the saxophone for about a couple of years or so, God had blessed me with the gift to where I had this incredible ear to hear a song or a melody and I could pick it up right away and play it. So my dad being a gospel songwriter and having my sisters sing off his tunes along with my mother, they were rehearsing his songs and I was listening in and I started playing the melody to one of his songs. And so I heard him stop the piano and then he yelled my name, Timbo, get in here. And I thought I was in trouble. I thought, uh-oh.
So wait a second. Were you in another room doing it?
I was in another room.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was in the next room and I was playing that melody. I was listening in. I was playing that melody and he heard me. So he stopped and he went, Timbo, get in here. And I'm like, uh-oh. Because it was a big thing not to disturb rehearsal at the Coleman household, my dad's songs. And so I went and peeked out the door. He said, I need for you to come out here, son. And I'm like, okay. And he said, no. I started walking. He said, no, go back and get your horn. I thought, oh, he's taking my horn away. I'm in trouble. And so I went and grabbed my horn and walked back out there with my head down. He said, son, no, he said, you're not in trouble. I want you to sit in this chair behind me. And I just want you to do what you was doing in that next room. And I said, what? He said, I was listening to you. I want you to do what you were doing in the next room. So I said, okay. So he started playing the song and I started playing the melody to his tune. And then the rest was history, man. He had me in my chair every day when he got home from work. Timbo, go grab your horn. So I always tell people, man, that was like a unfortunate mishap, but a blessing at the same time. So I'm like, because he helped me develop my ear all the more to where I can just hear stuff and just play it.
Now, when you say he helped you, was it just the matter of him having you in the room and keep doing it over and over, or was he kind of coaching you through it too?
No, just having me in the room and him playing through all these melodies and me playing the different melodies and just the structure of the melody and the different chords and keys of the songs and all that. So it just kind of helped me develop an ear to just pick stuff and just kind of ad-lib on whatever song I'm hearing, or if not, picking up the melody to the song.
Yeah.
So he helped really develop that in a huge way. So I'm always thanking him for it. And I don't know what I did, son. I didn't do. Yeah, you did a lot, Pops. You don't realize it, but you did a lot.
So you start playing that 6th grade, junior high, high school. You continue to play. Like when did you really start thinking like, oh, this is something I think I might try to do for the rest of my life?
Actually, I started thinking that when I was in high school. And a good buddy of mine, Mitchell Pierce, invited me to come play at this restaurant/club with him. And I got paid to play my horn. I'm like, wait a second.
Oh, really? In high school?
In high school.
I did not know that.
So I'm like, this could be a really good thing if I keep this up. So, yeah.
Now, what? So was Mitchell playing as well?
He was playing the piano.
Okay.
And I was playing these songs with him, and afterwards I got paid.
So he was in high school too at the time, or had he graduated already at this time?
I think he was in high school too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's cool because he's musically inclined. Like he can play several instruments. We're talking about Mitchell Pierce, infamous football player, but also if you don't know, he's also a talented musician.
Excellent musician.
I think he sings as well. So yeah. So you and Mitchell.
Yeah.
Was it a full band or was it just you and Mitchell?
Yeah, it was a full band.
And so they paid you all. Was it a restaurant here in town?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And so then you play that. You like, oh, I may continue to do this. And then, like, did you go home and tell your parents, like, hey, I got paid. I think this is something that I might want to do?
Yes.
Like, what did that look like moving forward after getting paid once?
Well, it made me hungry for it all the more. I'm like, yeah, buddy. So that was my one and only time getting paid, I think. I want to say. Well, no, I got paid again. Let's see. I played at a bank.
Okay.
I think this was like my junior year in high school or my senior year. But our band director told me and a good buddy of mine, Keith Henderson, who played the saxophone, we were hired to come and play in front of a bank. We played outside this bank and got paid for that. So that was another time where I was like, yeah, buddy, I'm on the road
This
here.
is something that I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, we're gonna come back to your musical thing, but also you at some point start dancing. Like dancing became a thing for you. Like, and this was break dancing, not like I don't know what other kind of dance. This wasn't ballet or anything. Like it wasn't like nothing like that. But you start dancing. Talk to me about when you first started break dancing and how that came about.
I think, man, this was back in the day where all those breakdancing movies came out, Electric Boogaloo and all that. So Turbo was a big influence on me wanting to breakdance. And so there was a good buddy of mine, Shannon Gwynn. And then there was my cousin, Teddy Blue. So the three of us, we had this group where we were always breakdancing together. And so my breakdancing name was Captain Cool.
Oh, I didn't know y'all had names.
Yeah, we had names.
Are you serious?
I was Captain Cool. Shannon Gwynn was Cosmic Tut.
Cosmic.
And I'm trying to remember what Teddy's was. I can't remember what his. Yeah, but we had breakdancing names for sure. Yes.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I did not know that. So give me your favorite breakdancing story. Like, was there a time when you all showed up? Because there was a period where breakdance, like, you just show up at the mall or different places like that, and people would just start,
Yes.
I don't know what you would call it, but almost a competition to see who could be breakdance the best. Like, you got any? What's your best story?
I want to say my best story was when we were at Frontier City.
Okay.
Shannon Gwynn and I were. Teddy was not with us, but it was the two of us, and we knew of this place in Frontier City where they would start having these breakdancing contests just randomly. So he and I were there, and we were walking around to see if there was any guys dressed like they could be breakdancers. So we were looking around. So and I had a girlfriend there with me at the time too. So I, wanted to impress her. So Shannon came over to me and said, "Man, there's some guys here. So you ready?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm ready." So
so he sees these guys and he's like, okay, what? So he just saw that they breakdancers, or just because of the way they dress?
Just because of the way they dress.
The way they dress, you knew it was funky on.
You knew.
Okay, so he sees them. He comes over to you. He's like, Tim, it's on.
He gives me the word. So I only will dance if he needs for me to dance. So I don't even have to dance. I'm just like the backup man that comes in to give him a rest or whatever. So,
so wait a second. So he was the main dancer.
He was the main guy.
You were kind of there as the friend, just in case.
Sidekick, yeah.
Just in case I need to jump in, I'll jump in.
It's like a wrestling match, man.
Okay.
If the other guys
he'll tag you in.
He tag me in if he needs help, man. Otherwise, he got it.
Other than that, he's taking everybody out.
Yeah,
okay.
Taking everybody out.
So he goes at it. He starts breakdancing.
He's that good.
And then all of a sudden, what he points at you or what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because the thing was, he started dancing. The DJ started playing the song, so he goes.
Wait a second, where y'all get the DJ from?
Well, the DJ is just he's part of Frontier City.
Okay.
So he's just throwing these songs out there. So then the song came on where it was like, I think Shannon went and talked to the DJ. So the DJ put on this song where he could break dance. And so Shannon went over to the guy and he started doing all these moves and he got all up in his face and boxed him in on his face. And then he called him out. And so the guy started dancing against him. But Shannon ate his lunch and then his buddy's lunch. And then just for fun, he came over and he pointed at me. So then I got out there and got my little groove on, man. Because he knew my girlfriend was there. So he wanted to help her brother out.
Oh, my goodness. And so that day, you was on cloud 9. Y'all was like, we killed him.
We killed him, man.
Oh, my goodness.
They were shaking his hand and everything, man. They bowed down to him. They knew he was the man.
So y'all walked around Frontier City the rest of the day on cloud 9. Like, could nobody say nothing to you?
People were like, hey, there was those guys.
Oh, my goodness. That is too funny. Now, being from Guthrie, now I know that whenever you go to Frontier City, you experience people who are not from probably your small town. But did y'all have competition in Guthrie? Was there ever a chance at like the high school or something? Because this is high school, right?
Right.
Okay. Were y'all in high school? Like, did y'all ever have to break dance in high school or anything like that?
We did for fun, man. But the only time that I remember really even breakdancing at the high school was when we had our talent show.
Okay.
So me and Shannon and Teddy, we all danced in that.
Oh, gotcha.
And there's video of that floating around.
Oh, really?
I've seen it. Yes.
There would really be video floating around if this was in today's age, because there's a lot of stuff that, oh my goodness, that's too good. So I have a story that somebody mentioned to me. Somebody said that one time you went to Cotterell, I think they said Cotterell, the school, and I guess you break dance for the kids and they thought you was Michael Jackson.
I don't know, man. I'm not recalling.
You're not recalling? Donna said that one time she had you come out to the school, and she said that the kids thought you was Michael Jackson, because I guess you was there to play the sax.
Yes.
And then you went outside and you started breakdancing.
Yes.
And they thought you was Michael Jackson. And Donna was like, we didn't want to tell the kids that he wasn't Michael Jackson.
Yes, this is true.
So these kids are walking around thinking they saw Michael Jackson. I wonder if their parents was like, you did not see Michael Jackson.
I'm sure they were.
Oh my goodness, that is too funny. All right, so let's kind of walk through each school. So did you go to Banner?
To Banner.
Banner. Did you go to Banner? Where did you go to pre-K and kindergarten? Or did you go to the Catholic school?
Yeah, I went to Banner. That was right across the street from 323, right?
No. That was a Head Start or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Banner was on the west side over the bridge. Do you remember that? You didn't go to Banner then. Did you go to Cotterell?
Went to Cotterell.
Was that second and third grade for you?
Let's see. First grade was Central.
Yep.
And then second and third was Cotterell. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then you went over to Fogarty for
fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah. And then sixth, it was Favor for you. And then junior high school. And then high school. Okay.
Yep.
So we kind of made our journey through the schools. Now, do you recollect any stories in any of those schools? What stands out to you at any of those schools, or any teachers that you remember?
Man, I remember quite a few of my teachers, man. I love school. It was always a wonderful journey for me, man. I appreciated school greatly. Trying to think. I remember third grade, so had a Spanish teacher, Mrs. Daltrey. I think that's how you say her name.
In what grade?
Third grade.
Okay.
And I was always fascinated with the way she said my name.
Oh, okay.
Timothy. She was quite something, man. She was what you would call a high D personality, for sure.
Got you.
So,
got you.
But I remember one time I had gotten in trouble with some friends of mine, and then she said, I just remember the phrase of her saying, "Hey, now, do you want to stay in this room or do you want to go eat lunch?" So I was like, I'm going to go eat lunch. It'd be very nice to eat lunch. We were getting in trouble for something. So I don't know, that just sticks out of my brain. Because she had never gotten on to me before, but my friends got me in trouble that day. So I was like very disappointed. I was like, oh no, my teacher don't like me. I wanted my teachers to all like me.
That's funny.
But she was fine after that, man. She was great.
Yeah. Do you have any Mr. Golston stories?
Mr. Golston stories.
Was he your principal in high school?
Yes.
Okay.
The latter part of it, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, he came when you were. Who was the first part?
I'm trying to remember, but it wasn't always him. I think he came in the latter part of my high school years.
I felt like I always remember y'all telling good Mr. Golston stories.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening, you remember Mr. Golston, just leave in comments or something on social or something like that, and tag us and just tell us any. Because I felt like there was always some fun Mr. Golston, like him chasing students or something like that. They were trying to. No, you don't remember any of that.
The main thing that I remember about him is his voice. Me and my buddies were always mimicking his voice.
Okay.
So that was the thing with
and
us.
Was he tall?
Very tall.
Okay.
Yes.
I never had him, but I just remember as a kid, like you all talking about him, and maybe it was more so Eric and them talking about him than anybody. But I remember that. So you get ready to graduate high school out of GuthrieAmerica.
Yep.
What was that decision like for you as a musician?
Well, as a musician out of high school, I was kind of undecided still what I really wanted to do. If I really wanted to, I mean, pursuing music was never in question, but what was my fallback thing if there needed to be one?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I had gone to the University of Central Oklahoma for a year, and then the following year I sat out a semester, and then one evening my cousin Irvin Polite came over, and he said, "Hey man, they're having a college and career day up at our high school, and I'm here to represent my college. But you got to have 2 people, or you can't set up your booth. So my partner got sick. Can you just come and help me out?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know nothing about your college. They've been asking me questions. What am I gonna say?" He said, "You don't have to say a word. I just need a body present, man." He said, "You just stand there. If anybody asks you any questions, direct them towards me. I'll answer their questions." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I can do that." So I got dressed and boom, went up there to the high school with him, was standing there representing his school. And then towards the end of it, I started kind of circling around, seeing what schools they're being represented. Maybe I want to attend one of them. And then lo and behold, a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, was there, and she was standing there with this lady named Catherine Jones. And then she introduced us, and then she says, "Hey, listen, your friend here is bragging on you, talking about how good of a saxophone player you are." She says, "You're better than Kenny G." And I'm like, "Whoa, really?" She said, "Yeah." She goes, "If this is the case, we got to have you at our school." I said, "Okay." And then, so she set up this whole thing, man, where she got me to come up during their homecoming weekend at their school. So I went up there, and they put me in the dorm room for the weekend, showed me all around the school. And then I played a track for the music directors there for the school. And they were all like, "Wow, hey, man, can you play one more song?" I said, "Sure." So I played them another song. And then they went and got some other music directors that were in the at the school. So some more of them came in, and they wanted me to play another song. So I played another song for them. And so I ended up making history at the school, man, because I started like in the middle of the semester. They said, "Well, yeah, we want you here." So
You started in the middle of
the
school
year.
semester?
Yeah.
Like not in the middle of like December or January. You talking about like
they didn't want
in
to
the middle
wait.
of spring?
I started right away.
That is hilarious.
So
was this at NOC?
This was at NOC.
And like what kind of programs did they have? Were you playing in like jazz bands, or what were you doing?
All of it.
Because they didn't have football or a marching band or nothing like that.
No, but they had a basketball team, and so they had a pep band for that. So, and I played in that. But yeah, jazz band. They had several different type of bands. They had it's just several of them. I sung in the choir as well, so I did that. Just anything musical at the school, because they had a group called the Roustabouts that tour all around different schools that represent the school, and it's like a showcase band for the school. So so I became a part of that. So a lot of my time really was even mostly away from the school, because we traveled throughout the school year representing the school. So that's what this band was all about. So it was like a wonderful thing. I mean, I had a full ride there.
That is crazy.
They took care of everything.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
That is crazy. I don't think I knew that story. So you did that, you go to the school, you start being in the band. Did anything else significant happen while you were in NOC?
Man, my wife does not like for me to tell this story, but it's the honest truth. And I can't do nothing but be honest. So
will I need to have her back on here to follow up on these stories? Go ahead, tell us a story. At this time, she's not your wife, though.
She's not my wife.
Okay.
But this is the God honest truth, man. As much as I appreciate music, and as much as I love doing music, my ultimate goal when I went to NOC was to find a wife. That was my ultimate goal. That's where I had my mind set. That's where I had my heart set. Music was just the icing on the cake of it all. So when I was able to do that, I was thinking, when they were offering me this full ride and all this, I was scratching my head going, man, this is like a win-win. I can't lose. I'm going to go there and do music, and I'm going to still find my wife.
Why do you sound like you's coming from another country? You know, like coming to America or something like that. You, to find your wife. Okay, so you at 1920, you were like, I need to go find my wife. And I'm gonna go find her at a school, some random school, and they're gonna let me play music. This is the best. Okay, so you go to NOC, you're in the roustabouts, you traveling, and the hunt is on for the wife.
The hunt is on for
Tell
a
us
wife.
about the hunt.
Ooh. So I had dated a couple of other females there, and just was not the one. But then one day I was, we had gone away for a break from the school, and we came back, and a good friend of mine there at the school, who was the campus pastor for the Methodist church there at the time, Terry Ballard, who was an awesome musician in his own right. He was playing the keys, and he wanted me to play my horn with him, welcoming all the students back from their break. And so we were doing that, and while he was getting set up, I was coming towards he was getting set up on this little gazebo. While he was getting set up, I spotted this fine woman taking photos. I was like, Lord, have mercy. Help a brother out. So I walked up on that gazebo. Terry introduced me. Hey, Amy, this is my good friend Tim. Tim, this is Amy. I'm like, hello. She's like, hey. So we just kind of shoot the breeze for a little bit. She was taking her pictures. So I'm setting my horn up, but I'm watching her the whole time. Terry and I do our music. And then afterwards, she disappeared. I didn't see her anymore. So I'm like, man, where'd that girl go? So I hadn't seen her no more. So I called her name, and that was it. So I didn't know how to find her other than just kind of keep looking for her around the school campus. But I went to a Bible study, one of Terry's Bible studies there at the Wesley House. And man, I go in and I sit down and I'm opening my Bible and I look up, and it was like a movie scene, man. She throwing her hair. She turned, and I was like,
it was slow motion.
Yeah, I was like, that's her. That is her. There she is. There she is. So I reintroduced myself after that Bible study, and then we became the best of friends. Unfortunately, I found out that she'd been dating this guy that she'd been dating all through high school.
Oh,
so I'm like, yeah, she's gonna marry that dude. That's how those things go. She's been marrying him all through high school. She gonna marry that dude. So we became good friends. We became running buddies. We were running out,
Oh, so you started running?
We started running together, jogging and stuff like that.
You had never ran in your life until that moment. And now you running.
So we're jogging around campus, getting to know each other and all this kind of stuff. She goes away home one weekend, and then she comes back, and then, I noticed that she was being troubled by something, so we got into a conversation.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
So she tells me that her and the dude, the boyfriend's having some troubles. So I'm being sympathetic towards the whole thing, and I'm like, I am so sorry, but on the inside, I'm going, yes, this is the moment. Break up with that dude. Yes,
this is it.
This is it. This is my door of opportunity.
This is the one.
This is the one. And you know what happens?
No.
She looks me dead in my face and says, we broke up over the weekend. I'm like, oh, man. She goes, I'm like, I'm so sorry about that. And then she goes, I'm like, so are you interested already in somebody else? I mean, she goes, no, not really. I'm like, you think you're going to be dating anybody soon? She goes, no, not really. She goes, but what do you think about this Ronnie guy?
Oh.
So me being the good guy that I am, I talked Ronnie up like you should vote for him for president.
Oh, my goodness.
So then she just kind of shrugged it off, though. She goes, well, no, I need some time. I'm like, yeah, take some time. All the time you need.
Take some time. We're going to keep running. We're going to keep hanging out. We're going to keep going to Bible study together. Oh, my goodness.
So a school dance of ours was coming up, the President's Ball, right? So we were doing our homework together in her dorm room. I was meeting over, not her dorm room, I'm sorry, her dormitory, her hall, her dorm hall. So I was meeting in the lobby there with her doing homework and stuff. So I just got up the courage, man, to ask her out. I'm like, Tim, you should ask her out for somebody else to ask her out. So I'm like, hey, Amy, what do you think about going to the president's ball with me? And she kind of backed up. And she was like, well, I don't know. I never really thought about going out with a black guy before. I'm like, and? So
okay.
what's your answer?
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, sure.
But did she really say, I never thought about going out with a black guy before?
That's what she said.
Wow.
So I said, yes, let's do this. So we went to the president's ball. And
the rest is history.
The rest is history. Here we are.
Y'all been married how long now?
It'll be 30 years next October.
Wow.
Yeah.
30 years.
Yep.
That is amazing.
It's been wonderful, man. Gets
That's
better
really cool.
and better every year.
That's really cool. Now you have 4 children?
4 children, yes.
Now, was the plan to have 4?
The plan in my head was to have 2. After our second, my wife was in the hospital, sitting up on the hospital bed. She goes, I can do this again. I'm like, what?
You do what again?
I'm like, well, if you could do it again, then you need to be able to do it 2 more times because that child's going to need a playing mate. She goes, okay, I can agree to that.
That's how it happened.
Before I knew it, I had agreed to 4.
Oh, my goodness. That's how it happened. Lord. And so now y'all have 4?
Yep.
Did it work out as planned? Like,
man, it's beautiful, man.
That's good.
I wouldn't trade it for the world. All 4 of my children are awesome.
That's good. So let's kind of go back to Guthrie. Grew up in Guthrie. What were some things that you all did for fun around here? Back in your day.
Back, how far back?
Let's go high school.
High school?
So whenever I was in high school here in Guthrie, we would cruise division. Were y'all cruising division?
We were cruising division, yeah.
Were you doing?
But there was an awful lot of dances down at the library.
Okay.
Though. So
okay, you was in that period. Like that's where you
buddy.
That's where you going to the library. Tell us about the library. Now, when you say the library, where are we talking? We talking about the library on, what is that? Springer?
I think it's
Springer and 2nd Street?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, Springer and
2nd Street.
Yes.
Yeah. Springer and 2nd Street. It was rented out to people. You could throw parties there. And so there was a lot of weekends where the parties hosted that and people just hanging out there at the library.
Yeah.
Like, what was the thing that was mostly? Was it just the hanging out? Was it the dancing? Did you get to break dance? Like,
oh yeah, it was all the above. All the above.
I remember. So I was not like I don't know if you were still around then, but I remember. You remember my friend Carlos and Buddy?
Yes.
Carlos and Buddy and I, we were too young to be going to the library when you all were there. But what we would do is we would come down the alley from 323, right there on Violet and 3rd Street. That's where we lived at the time. We sneak down the alley, and there were some bushes on the corner of the library. I don't know if you know the bushes right there. But we would go in those bushes and watch the parties. Man, we used to have the best time watching the parties, man. It was so fun. And like we could not wait to get old enough to go to the parties at the library. And then by the time I got old enough, I think there was still a few, but it wasn't like whenever you all were growing. So the library is really the jam. It wasn't so much cruising or doing none of that stuff. It was like we're going to the library
going to
tonight.
hang, listen to some tunes, break dance.
Yes.
Get your flirt on.
Yes. Like as kids though, like when you're younger than that, was there things to do downtown? Like the Victor Mall, that stuff that came later after you had kind of gotten older and did that. So what were y'all doing as kids? Like
making mud pies, throwing them at each other.
It's true small town living. We were making mud pies, tossing them at each other. Oh my goodness! What about the pecan tree in the back of the house? Was there a thing with this pecan tree growing up behind the house?
Oh yeah, just always having a paper sack, a brown paper sack, and then Dad making us go out there and pick those pecans for hours.
So do you eat pecans now?
No, I never have, man.
Could not stand pecans. Bernadette, my wife's like, you want some pecans? No, I don't want anything to do with any pecans. Matter of fact, no, not at all. So I think he kind of ruined me for sure with those pecans, having to pick them all the time. And it would be so many.
So many.
Oh, my goodness.
Right when you think you making a dent.
Yeah.
You were not making a dent.
You was not making a dent at all. And he want them all picked up. That was funny. That's so funny. But, okay, so you meet Amy, NOC, get married.
Yes.
And then at some point, like, you had opportunity to travel the world with your saxophone.
Yes.
Um,
and I was actually doing that like a little bit before I even met Amy. Yeah, because I was doing that in 90, and I didn't meet her until 91, 92, okay, somewhere in there. So yeah.
So what was that like? Now, like, you had this dream of utilizing your saxophone to someday make money, make a career.
Yeah.
At this point, this is starting to even become even more real for you. Kind of walk us through that, what that's been like for you.
Well, it had always been in my heart. I've always told myself, man, one day I'm going to be traveling the world, and then I'm going to get married, and then, have a house. I want to do this all before I'm 30 years old, and man, it's like God blessed me where I did all of that before I even reached 30. So I had connected with this awesome man of God named Danny Chambers. And when we connected, he had a guy playing saxophone for him already. His name's Charles Martin. So I met him briefly. He was a youth pastor at the time. And I met him briefly, and through my brother Anthony, at a revival. So I had shook his hand, and I just knew at that moment, I just heard this still small voice say, "You're called to this guy. You're called to this man of God." So I'm like, okay, cool. And it was just a brief moment. Wasn't nothing real spectacular beyond that. I just heard the still small voice say that. So I'm like, okay, cool. So after that, I had gone off to school and all that, and I hadn't seen this guy for like, I want to say maybe a couple of years or so. But we reconnected at a church that I was hired to come be a part of the band, Church of the Harvest in Oklahoma City. So I came and I was part of that. And then I saw Danny at this church, and we got reacquainted. But I came in one Sunday morning, and they were leading the service. But Charles was up there. So I'm like, God, I thought you said I was called to this man, but he already got a sax player. What, he gonna have two? Okay. How does this all gonna work? So lo and behold, he started calling me whenever Charles couldn't make their dates that they had on the calendar. So I started filling in for Charles on and off. And then it was December of, let's see, what year was it? The year slipping my mind now. But he told me, no, it was December of 96. I think that's when it was, because we moved to Nashville in 97. So he told me, he said, Charles is going off on his own. So that door is open there if you want it. Just pray about it. Man, hey, man, I ain't got to pray about this. I already know God is saying yes. This is what I've been praying for all along. So started traveling with him full time. And then, man, we started traveling the world. It was wonderful. We went all over Botswana, not Botswana, Africa. We went to Aruba, went to Iceland, went to Paris, France. Where else did we go? London, England.
Did you go to Russia?
No, I didn't go to Russia.
Okay, I thought you went to Russia.
But London, England was by far my favorite place
Gotcha.
to go and travel with them. That was wonderful. It's
Man,
awesome.
so you got to see the world by using your saxophone.
Yeah.
Now, did you have that thought that it was going to be gospel music, or did it not matter to you?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much going to be gospel music.
Yeah. Is that because of your dad and kind of being raised in that way and doing music for him?
Yeah.
Even though you ended up at UCO, you did some time there, NOC, and doing that kind of music or whatever, but then it always came back to gospel music for you.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of it had to do with just where my heart was at the time and still is, which is to touch people and just spread the good news of Christ. So I figured it would be gospel music.
Yeah.
But I've always had this other part of me though that said, and I had always thought this at a very young age too. I'm like, God, it would be awesome to be with an artist who don't really necessarily claim to be a Christian artist, but yet they are ministering with their gift and people are being touched, because at the time, and I guess part of that was at the time, a lot of people were feeling like Christianity was getting shoved down their throats. So I thought, man, it'd be cool to hook up with a musician who is not necessarily proclaiming to be like a Christian artist, but yet he knows he's very intentional about that's what he's doing. He's ministering, and lo and behold, that dream has come true, and that's what I'm doing now. So
That's cool. That's cool. Kind of coming back around, kind of bouncing back and forth between guys. Whenever you were growing up, Guthrie, like the parades and stuff, was that a big deal for you? Like 89ers, I guess, like 89ers, homecoming parade, things of that nature. You were typically playing in those. You never really probably just got to watch them.
No.
So that was never a thing for you, huh?
No. I mean, when I was little bitty, yes.
Yeah.
I would always get excited. All the things that come with that, the rise, just the smell of 89ers Day. And that smell for me was like the smell of cigars and, because our uncles would be over and they would smoke their cigars. So that smell, it was like all of that was just a part of it. The smell of popcorn, caramel apples, and all of that. And then just seeing all the horses in the parade and just all of that, man. It was just great memories of that, man.
Yeah.
And then, just being excited about actually being in it once I got into the high school band and just knowing that we're going to be marching in the 89th Day Parade. What? Yeah, that was very exciting.
Yeah. No. Do you remember the first time? Was that a nervous feeling? Like you marching down the street and having all those people watching you?
Yeah,
like,
it was a little bit nervous.
Were you in band your freshman through senior year? Did you play all 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. So was it your freshman or your sophomore year that you finally walked in the parade, 89 parade? Do you remember that?
Yeah, freshman.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you think that it was like a nervous feeling for you at that time?
Yeah.
Because
Oh yeah. Yep. I mean, because you're thinking as you're marching, man, I hope my shoe don't come untied and I trip and fall and then make a big fool of myself and knock down other band members. It's just like you have all these thoughts, man. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah. It gets nuts. It gets nuts. Well, that's good, man. So, you brought your horn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how this works, but I don't know if I'm gonna get copyrighted. This is gonna be one of your songs that you're gonna play. So, give people a little taste of what we've been talking about and a little bit of your history.
Yeah. Well, I figured since it's Christmas time. Let's see.
Now, when you hear this podcast, Christmas time probably has passed, but this is gonna be a little bit of Christmas for you. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, a little live music on the GuthrieAmerica Podcast. Tim, thank you so much for sitting down with me, man.
Hey, no problem.
I
Enjoyed
appreciate
it.
this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How can people find you? Social media, check you out anywhere?
All of my social media is under Tim Coleman Music. And if you're looking for any particular CDs, you should be able to find my album, Mention of Your Name. So just look up Tim Coleman, Mention of Your Name. You can find that out there somewhere. Just keep me in your prayers. I'm working on a new one. Hopefully it'll be out in 23, titled Miracle Parade.
Now, one of the questions that somebody told me to ask you was, oh my God, when are you going to do a concert in Guthrie again?
Hopefully next year.
Especially if you got a new album coming out.
Yes.
That wouldn't make any sense for you not to.
Right.
No, because we can make that happen a lot easier now. Then let me make sure there was another question. I thought there was another question. Let me check real quick. I think somebody said something about what did they say? Let me see real quick here. Real quick, like
and just FYI, I'm currently traveling with a country blues artist. His name's T. Graham Brown. He's an awesome man of God, and he has a song called "Wine into Water" that it's basically his testimony song, and it's amazing to see the results we get at his concerts when he sings this song. I mean, you start seeing people lift their hands like they're in church. It's just the most amazing thing to witness.
That's cool.
But I've been with him for 5 years, and I've been functioning as his MD for 4 years. So it's been an awesome journey, and he's got a new album that's going to be coming out next year too, called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals, and I got to squeeze on that album, just the very tail end of it. But he said he'll make sure to get me on more of the next one after this. But I'm at least on this album, so
that's cool. That's cool. Well, good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening in for another episode of the GuthrieAmerica Podcast. Tim, thank you again. Let's make that concert happen in GuthrieAmerica sooner than later.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for hitting that play button. We are on a mission to have every story told of the people who are doing life in GuthrieAmerica and who are from here. Will yours be next?